Hey, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the Rocket Fish by Panda Surfboards. So the Rocket Fish I'll be riding is a 5'7" by 20.5 by 2.5 and exactly 32.3 litres. So the Rocket Fish is a high performance twin keel by Panda Surfboards. Looking over the Rocket Fish, it's got a pretty standard kind of fish design. Looking at the outline, I'd say the only kind of difference would be, and nothing too aggressive, it has a fairly narrower nose than a lot of fishes. And that's just to keep it out of trouble, to try and do some kind of high performance surfing and not have too much width and bulk in the front end of the board. Looking across the board, fairly flat through the center, holds a fair bit of volume through the center, out the tail, and then there's quite a bit of volume under the chest. If you look up closely at the front there, you'll probably be able to see that there's a little beak in the nose. So for people that are unfamiliar with a beak, what that does is it allows to, you have your thick point of the board, it allows you to hold foam through the board without thinning too much, but then it just pulls away quite quickly. So it allows you to keep a lot of foam up here, and what that will do is it will leave you a lot of foam under your chest for paddling, a lot of foam under your front foot for getting across flat and kind of dead sections, and just makes surfing really easy. Flipping over the Rocket Fish, nothing too crazy going on the bottom. There's a single concave in the front, and then a V that comes through the board and out through the tail. It gets pretty aggressive through here and you can feel the V really drop away. And when you're surfing it, that V, you can really feel it under your foot. It makes that rail to rail and more kind of performance surfing really, really easy. So I've been lucky enough to have the Rocket Fish for probably about 6 months now. Blake sent me a couple of boards you might have checked out. We did the Twins review a couple of months ago. And I got these at the same time and kind of been splitting my time between them. Both been absolutely epic. But at first the Rocket Fish, I was kind of grabbing in at home we had kind of 1 to 2 foot, shoreys, rip bowls, stuff like that. I have this thing in my mind, I guess fishes are for crappy waves, for average waves, when actually they aren't. They're actually for, pretty good waves, point waves, open faces, stuff like that. So I was riding at home, whole bunch of conditions, felt really good. Recently my family and I went on a trip, had a week or so. We went up the north coast of New South Wales, stopped at a few places. Anyone familiar would know there's a lot of good right-hand point breaks. And I definitely planned the trip and the itineraries around surfing a few good spots. Anyone familiar with the east coast of Australia recently, we've had some really good swells. It's been a really good winter and I was able to time those visits with some really good spots and some great waves. One spot in particular, I won't name any places, but you kind of check from a distance and I was looking down and I could see there was like a running right. I was like, cool, I'll ride this twin actually, it looked like it was 3 or 4 foot and I'd like to see it in some kind of bigger waves. Getting down to the beach, it was really, really sucky. And as soon as I set foot on the sand, I regretted taking a twin fin and I wished I had a shortboard. Too committed to the surf anyway, I took this thing out and I was blown away. It was really sucky and really heavy and kind of dredgy right-hand points. And the thing, because there's volume under the chest, it would get into waves really early and you'd be up nice and early before you're kind of like going over the falls or dropping with a lip. And what it surprisingly had, which I don't think you find in a lot of twin fins, it had really good get up and go speed. So your performance shortboards are tuned for, just getting up under lip and having speed, in barrels and stuff like that. But I don't feel so much in the twin fins, but this did. I don't know if it's because of that volume under the chest. It was really, nice. I was getting in nice and early. But some of these waves were barreling and were quite heavy little sucky waves. And this thing was absolutely epic. Also, it had some nice big open kind of point break waves. You could do some really round turns. And like I said, there's that V that comes off the back and it just makes transferring it into some kind of more performance turns. I think normally on like your keel style twin fishes, you do really kind of long and drawn out turns. And this could do that. But I think because of the V off the back and that narrower nose giving it more of a performance feel, you could actually snap into some kind of more performance shortboard turns, which was really cool. Heading along, surf some other places, some bigger waves, 4 to 6 foot. the thing felt absolutely epic. It paddles like a dream. You know, even some of the point breaks was a little bit smaller when you're battling with like mouths and guys on foamies. You know, your wave count was really high. It was getting into everything nice and early. And even though I took a few boards on this trip, this was something that I pretty much rode most of the time. In the Rocket Fish, I've been riding the Rasta Keels by Futures. So originally I put in the K2s. I ride the K2s in most things. They're an amazing twin fin. They're a solid glass fin and they have a really nice solid feel. So I was riding that and it was actually Panda or Blake and Panda Surfboards are now in the US. But in Australia, if you want to get them, they're doing them through Rhino Laminating and Manufacturing in Brookvale in Sydney. And I took this down there to show the guys because this is a US built one. And I just went down there to show them. They were having a look over it and I was chatting with one of the shapers there and he's like, oh, he was looking at like kind of the rail line and the V and all that stuff. And he's like, have you tried the Rasta Keel? And I was like, no, I haven't. I know the K2 is a go-to fin. I love it. He goes, give it a go. And got the Rasta Keel and it was like, I wouldn't say night and day because it was a good board, but it turned a good board into a great board. Like I said, this twin is kind of designed for more of a performance feel. It still has those really nice flowy kind of twin fin feels and down the line speed. But it can still do some really performance surfing, and that definitely added to it. So the Rasta Keel compared to the K2 is a slightly larger template, so a little bit more surface area in the fin, but what it has, it's a lot softer, especially through the tip, so that flex would kind of, you know, twang in and out of turns, and it definitely felt like it gave the board just a little bit extra kind of speed and go, and one of the better recommendations I've been given, and yeah, anyone wants to check out the board or even just twin fins, give the Rasta Keel a go. I'd seen them for a long time. For some reason was never attracted to them, but they're one of the better keel fins or twin fins that I've ridden. So that was epic. Overall, the Rocket Fish has been absolutely epic. Like I said, I've been surfing in kind of 1 to 2 foot junky conditions at home. And I've also taken on a trip where I surf this the majority of the time in some pretty pumping conditions. What surprised me was how high performance this board could surf. I think some twin fins, especially keel twins, are awesome to cruise. They've got nice flow, you know, they paddle well, but sometimes they're not quite up to that performance surfing. You know, being someone who grew up surfing performance shortboards, you know, and thrusters, when I get a section or something come at me, you know, I want to be able to do a half decent turn with the best that I can anyway. And the Rocket Fish definitely allowed you to do that. So much so that when I first got it, I just had wax under the back foot. But seeing how it surfed and it could actually do some really good surfing, I threw a tail pad on it, which, you know, I thought looked a little bit funny, but it allowed me to get some grip under my foot and do some kind of more high performance surfing, which the board definitely allowed. Look, overall, the Rocket Fish has been absolutely epic. I'd recommend the board for almost anyone. Someone who's like a beginner surfer, intermediate surfer, wants something that's easy and fun to surf, or someone that's a very advanced surfer that wants a twin fin that's got a nice flowy feel, but that can actually still do some performance surfing. The Rocket Fish can do it all. Look, I absolutely loved it and hope you get a chance to check one out. Also, we recently released a podcast with Blake from Panda Surfboards. We chat a little bit about the Rocket Fish and also the Twinser and a whole bunch of his boards. Hope you get a chance to check that out as well. Thanks so much for watching.